Hello there. Liz Truss resigned in the fall because of her controversial economic policies. Now the ex-Prime Minister is speaking for the first time about her departure. Liz Truss' 49-day tenure as Prime Minister of Great Britain last autumn could not have been more chaotic. Truss has now publicly commented on her resignation, as I said, for the very first time. In a guest article in the Sunday Telegraph, the Conservatives justifies her policies and largely denies any guilt. When I entered Downing Street, I assumed that my mandate would be respected and accepted. How wrong I was, she wrote. Truss was forced to leave office last October after her economic plans caused the British pound to plummet and much more. When she stopped the project of tax breaks for the rich, she lost a lot of support in her party and the population as well, and she finally resigned. There is no detailed apology for the government chaos in her guest post. Instead, Truss writes, "I'm not claiming that I'm not to blame, but basically I've been given no realistic chance to impose my policies by a very powerful business establishment combined with a lack of political support." The ex-Prime Minister is confident that her policy would have boosted growth in the medium term and thus reduced debt. No, it wouldn't have. But people would simply didn't get it. Large parts of the media and the public were no longer familiar with the main arguments of fiscal and economic policy, and over time the mood shifted to the left, she wrote. I know one person doesn't know how economy works. Her government had to take the rap. Unfortunately, the government became a welcome scapegoat for problems that have been brewing for several months, she wrote. She underestimated the resistance to her political program from leftists as well as from Tory colleagues and players in international markets. Her party rival Grant Shapps, whom Truss hired as Home Secretary in hopes of staying in power in the autumn, told the BBC on Sunday in response to the op-ed that everyone wants lower taxes. The current government, in which Shapps is economy minister, must first focus on reducing debt, lowering inflation and boosting growth. Truss also wrote in the Post that last fall's experiences were painful for her personally. Almost all of her plans for radical tax cuts, which she wanted to boost economic growth with, but triggered a financial crisis, have now been largely reversed. Truss had not spoken publicly since resigning in October, and she broke her silence with this interview. Truss explained that she underestimated the resistance that her pro-market policies would encounter, and the resistance came from the system. I'm not claiming I'm not to be blamed for that, but basically I was not given a realistic chance to implement my policies by a powerful business establishment. I repeated that because the powerful business establishment, who is that? Truss was shortest in office than any other British Prime Minister. Truss is currently an MP in the British House of Commons for the South West Norfolk constituency. Truss, who has become Britain's shortest-serving Prime Minister in history, as I said, spoke favourably of her predecessor Boris Johnson, though. He is now said to have ambitions to return to the top of the government. She did not mention her successor Rishi Sunak by name, but let it be known that she was critical of his tax policy, which was aimed at consolidating the budget. Truss' article could still put more pressure on Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and Sunak has said tackling double-digit inflation is more important than tax cuts. She can't love that. But with the economy still struggling, the International Monetary Fund expects Britain to be the only major economy to shrink this year. And the fact that the party is still well behind Labour in opinion polls, some Conservative MPs are more and more concerned about the situation. But Truss is still, sorry, but I have to say it, she's still quite delusional about her time. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.